Alright everyone, what is up? It's your boy K Natsuki here, back at it again with another new spanking Hot What If video. Hope for y'all. And today, just from my pure thoughts alone, I decided to incorporate something into my what ifs. Something that I have been a bit interested in as of late. Before I was in the YouTube bit. Before I made What Ifs, I was a huge Undertale junkie. No lie there. And yes, I know all about the Sans AU multiverse and everything like that. Trust me, there's too many AUs to catch up with, and too much magic, random bullshit to keep up with, if I'm be real with you. And seriously, multiverses, omniverses, gods, demons, there's all sorts of things in the Undertale AU fandom. So please, if you guys like that type of stuff, keep watching. If you don't watch, okay? But there may or may not be some spoilers for Undertale, so if you have not played or at least watched a person play Undertale, then and if you have specifically the genocide route, then I'm specifically the genocide route and pacifist routes, then I ask of you, well, all three routes are important here, but I ask of you to pause this video and at least play the game or watch someone play all three routes, okay? So without any further ado, let's get into this. This is what if Deku was the reincarnation of Demon Tail Kara. Now y'all might be wondering, what even is Demon Tail? Well, I don't know if the name is copyrighted or taken or not, but Demon Tail is an AU I have created all by myself. You see, this AU mostly revolves around Kara. Allow me to explain. You see, in this AU, after countlessly destroying and resetting the world and saving everyone, doing normal routes, I'm doing neutral routes, pacifist routes, and even genocide routes, Kara had gotten, and the player had gotten bored as the player left Undertale alone. However, Kara, seeing and being filled with all this anger and hatred, would want to exact vengeance on the player the next time if they were ever take control of Frisk again, as Kara would want to basically use Frisk as a way to bring the player into Undertale, and into Undertale so she could kill the player. However, this would take a unexplainably large amount of energy, of magic and energy, as even if the player is not controlling Frisk, the player is still very skilled. And this player is still very skilled in the knowledge of magic and fighting. As Kara is now more than just filled with determination. She is filled with another. She is filled with annihilation. As Annihilation is a new soul I've created. The soul of Annihilation is, well, it's red with a black, sort of unholy and demonic aura around it, and also a black swirl in it. Basically, imagine the Uzumaki crest, except more demonic and unholy. As Kara then decides that in order to gain the energy she requires, she would have to go to other universes and kill every single type of Kara imaginable, and every single other Kara. As basically, if you ever seen Jet Li the One, to become the one perfect being, to erase all alternate realities and all alternate timelines of oneself, to become the only one. And by doing that, gaining all of their energy and power, basically becoming God. As this has never been done before, but multiple Sanses along with others have tried to basically become the one. However, they always fail. Kara, however, with the Soul of Annihilation, she is prepared. The only thing she requires is just to kill the 3 skeletons. And the 3 skeletons, or the 3 strongest monsters in the underground. Papyrus, you see in my AU and a couple others, Papyrus' true strength is stronger than that of Sans, as he plays off being like a dumb, nimble, boneheaded skeleton, and a dumb, nimble, kind, boneheaded skeleton has a disguise, when in reality he's a malicious murderer who pretends to be sweet and innocent. Sans, well, we already know his deal. He's a time-traveling universe, acknowledging reality-defying, lazy skeleton comedian who can Shrek you in less than 10 seconds, if you're not being careful. And Gaster, a being that no longer exists, but at the same time still exists. Basically, he is in a realm between non-existence and existence. Basically, a lot of confusion. This Kara would kill the 3 skeletons, therefore gaining the power to access other AUs. As we skip over, well, I can't even explain how many deaths. We skip about 12 trillion and Karas, and we skip about 12 trillion Karas later, as she has 12 trillion and a whole bunch of other Karas later, as there is only one Kara left in order to become the one. As Kara would see, and this Kara would be in a room with one of the strongest Karas amongst them all. As this Kara be Reaver-tail, not Underswap, or basically nothing like you would have originally thought before. As this Kara well, do I even have to say it? This Kara is obviously story. This Kara is obviously Story Shift. The damn devil herself. As Story Shift Kara, aka Kara Sans, aka Kara Sans, or the chocolate eater who can summon red magic knives out of nowhere. As Demon Tail Kara would be glowing with, and she would be in her, basically she would look like this of sorts, as she would walk over to basically Story Shift Kara, as she would then say, "So, you're the 13 trillionth Kara. The last one I need to kill." As Story Shift Kara would then say, whoa, 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 what? Wait, what? Kill? Why would you want to kill me? Who even are you? As she would then say, well, then check me. Check my stats, if you will, because I'm not telling. As Story Shift Kara would. As she would check, she would use the ability of the judge to check Kara's stats, seeing the love, and the level of violence was at, well, almost 13 trillion, and was at, it was almost infinite, as it was 12 decillion. If you don't have any idea how much a decillion is, look up a decillion years, or the number 1 decillion. I'm pretty sure it's like 1 with 100 zeros following it. Basically, Kara has a lot of love, as she has not only wiped out Kara's, but entire AUs as well. As she is basically looking like this, glowing with a red and black demonic aura. As Story Shift Kara basically dodges Kara's first attack, and then the battle begins. Now, because I don't want to do a whole long boring fight scene, I'm gonna say that 12 hours later, the battle is over. As Story Shift Kara, while being one of the strongest Karas to possibly ever exist, was not strong enough. As we see Demon Tail Kara basically walking towards the defeated and battered down Story Shift Kara, as she would then summon out a glitchy black and red glowing katana. As she would then say, I'll see you. Enjoy the burning flames. Enjoy the blue burning flames of hell. As she would then stab Kara right in the soul. Now, you all might be wondering, wait, isn't Kara's soul determination so she can just, poof back to life? Allow me to explain. Any Kara of any kind has basically, they have determination. However, there is one problem. One just tiny atmostrophic problem. Demon Tail Kara's Soul of Annihilation grants her a ability called Determination Drain. If she stabs one's soul, the soul does not crack, but instead is absorbed through the blade and into Demon Tail Kara. So, that's a pretty overpowered ability, as all that determination is just turning into annihilation. As Demon Tail Kara would stab her soul, and would stab Story Shift Kara's soul, as it would then go through the blade and into Kara. As she would begin shaking and laughing maniacally, as she would then transform into this form. As she would then say, finally, my goal is complete. As, long story short, she would go back to her AU, which was defeated as Frisk would have returned, and as the player would have returned, and would be at the Judgment Hall, as Sans would be there, preparing for his battle, as suddenly he would see a black and red portal open up. As he would see Kara with horns and red and black glowing eyes in this type of outfit, as he'd then say, Kara, is there... Whoa. Kara, is that you? As she would then say, yes, son. Yes, comedian. I went on a bit of a, I guess you could say, omniversal killing spree, just to gain enough power to use Frisk as a, how can I explain this, gateway to bring the player into here, and to bring the player here through whatever they, and from their world to here, where they will not be able to control Frisk, and where I will kill them. As Singans would then say, okay, kid. Okay, kid. So, see ya. As this Sans, of course, would have been a mirage made of the dust of original, and it basically would be the ghost of the original Sans from her timeline that she had slaughtered. As the player would get there and there'd be no one. And as the player would enter Undertale and there'd be no one. No Flowey no Azrael to greet you by the entrance. No Toriel. No Nabsablook. No one. As the player would walk all the way to the Judgment Hall. But even that would be empty. As the player would notice something different. That the Judgment Hall had red cracks of light, and that there was red cracks of energy coming and going through the Judgment Hall and coming from the throne room. The player would follow these cracks of red energy and would be met with a throne. A throne made of red and black magic, and sitting on it was Kara. As she would then say, finally, you have arrived. Well, player, let's begin with this show, shall we? As Kara would then pull out a blade, and as Kara would then pull out two dual katanas, as suddenly a epic battle theme would begin. As it would sound like this. As it would sound like this. As that is not the whole battle theme, but you probably guessing the whole thing already. As Demon Tail Kara would rush up to the player and rush up to Frisk and touch her by the forehead, and she would then, as a black chain with red cracks of lightning and cracks of red energy coming out of it, would go through would go through Frisk's forehead and into the real world. As in our world, the player who had shredded this timeline all over... How can I explain this? There was over 1 billion genocide runs in this timeline. As this player was just malicious and evil, wanted to see everything burn. As Kara would bring this player into her world, she would then say, so, are you ready to die? As she would then rush over to the player, as the player would then, and would dodge efficiently, seeing how they were now stuck inside of the game. Now, long story short, after 30 hours of battling, the player was down, as Kara would then pull out a cannon that was shaped like a gaster blaster, and would pull out a sword that was black. It was a long black great sword with red fire coming from it. As this player would also have been a hacker, as they would then pull some strings of the game's code, as they would then call forth from an AU the strongest of the Strong Sans' Omni Gods, Color Sans, as Color Sans was about to kill his Frisk and would basically pull a Chidori on Demon Tail Kara, as she would then say, no, but she would die, as all the annihilation had absorbed all the determination, meaning she could no longer survive, as she would fall onto the ground dead. As the entire world, however, would begin to fall apart in an inferno of blazing black flames, as the player would have been murdered, would have been killed, as Deku would. As we go to MHA universe, Deku would have been born. Azumi Midoriya would have been born just 1 hour after Kara's death, as Kara would. Well, I'm sorry, dude. If you don't like my content or my ideas, then you can please and sincerely leave and not watch my videos. Okay, I'm sorry, it's a little habit of mine. However, I'm slowly and surely completing some series. If you have not noticed, I'm starting to make part 2s, part 3s, and part 4s. And a little sneak peek, by the way, tomorrow, after I get some testing done, and after I get my last school state test done, I'm doing part 5 of What If Naruto Was Turned Into a Female Kitsune. Okay, so please do not be angry. Okay, boys, I'm sorry, but please, just calm down. Order in the court. Okay? Back to the What If. As Kara would have been born, and as Azumi Midoriya's parents would name her, Azumi Midoriya, as she would have black horns and black eyes with red. She would have black eyes with red pupils, and with red color and black pupils, as they would be glowing red with a demonic flame. Hold on. As she would have been born with these crimson red eyes and this sort of just aura around her, as they would think of it as a quirk. However, they would basically bring her to the quirk doctor when she was 4, and it would turn out that she had no quirk, as she was called a demon or a monster, as everyone would fear her. Everyone would fear her and would think of her as a demon, an unholy beast that should never be let out in the wild, or let out freely, as people would begin to try and capture her or kill her, villains and heroes, as her own parents would abandon her, as she would be running away, screaming in terror and fear. But despite it all, she would just want to rescue people. She would want, but not from any sort of dangers. She would want to rescue the entire world from what it was becoming. as she saw this world as there would be eventually wars that would begin. Humans would fight humans, and quirks would become divided, as they're already in categories. So it would make sense that segregation would become a thing. Mutation quirks and all others. Quirkless, those with flashy quirks and mutation quirks, and things like her, would be divided into groups. As she did not like this at all. She wanted the world to be peaceful and everyone to accept each other for their differences. However, these people were greedy and, well, did not like each other. She knew that if things were to get any farther, there possibly would be a war going on. And that was not even the worst part. Every night she would be visited by another person. Not an actual person, but what appeared to be a nightmare. As there were two things that would always stay the same in every single one of her dreams. It would always be in some sort of hall. No matter what color or what form or shape it was, or what it was made of, or what it looked like. No matter what blood was stained, no matter what cracks were there, no matter what was destroyed and what was not, no matter the dead bodies or anything. It would always be the same hall. It would always be a same, but at the same time, different hall. And there would always be one girl to see her. However, with each hall was a different girl. As they would talk and chat, as things would be weird, she could feel similarities to them, but at the same time, she couldn't help but laugh at them, as she would call them weak from time to time. However, these ghosts of sorts, and these people of sorts, would slowly but surely, some of them would become her friends and would visit her multiple times, eventually even manifesting in her actual mind during the day. As like schizophrenia shows you people that, and has you see people who are not there and hear things that are not there, she would be able to see and hear and even feel these people, or the ones that that considered her a friend, as these would be one girl in a sort of black torn toga with red eyes and a black scythe, and a black and red scythe. Reaper Tail Kara, or as she would call her, RC. As then there would also be GC or Glitch Kara, or Glitch Tail Kara. There would also be, well, many Karas, as they would basically become her friends. Now people would call her a demon and an unholy beast. Some would call her the devil's spawn, others would have seen, and would have had quirks that could have seen in someone's soul, and would call her the devil's mother. As her soul was black with leaking out of it a crimson red energy. Her soul was the soul of annihilation. However, well, things would be different with her soul, as instead of her wanting to annihilate everything, she would only want to annihilate all evil, just for peace to exist. Hold on, just pausing the what if for a moment there. If you guys want, just tell me, who do you want as the ship? Okay? Seriously, I have an endless amount of ideas for the ship. So yeah, just tell me and I'll ship it, okay? So yeah. As well. Demons as well. Kara would float, and as Izumi would be, just outcasted from everything. As when she was 8, she would meet another elder person, however, who would accept her, no matter what she looked like. As this person would be known as, well, as this person would have had a pyrokinesis quirk. Their name would be Lyra. As Lyra would have a sort of special purple flame manipulation quirk, as she would also have 2 white horns coming from her head, along with long white hair. As she had a small mutation quirk, but also an emitter quirk. As Lyra would basically have adopted Izumi. As Izumi would have grown a fondness for Lyra and the other people who Lyra socialized with. As Izumi would, we skip to the last day of middle school. The teacher would say, "Alright, everyone, now it's time to talk about what you want to do with your future after you're done with middle school." As everyone would then moan and groan, as the teacher would then throw up a whole bunch of pamphlets in the air and would say, "I'm just kidding, I know you all want to be heroes." As everyone would begin and cheering and, would begin using their quirks. As Izumi would just have a hood covering herself, and a mask. As this mask would be a white mask with a smile on it. However, the eyes would be red with a red smile. As she would have been called, and as Kara would have been, Izumi would have been called the Akuma Queen, or the Akuma. Fun fact, Akuma means demon. So, yeah. As they would call her, the Akuma Queen, or the Akuma in the classroom, or the Beast, or the Black Beast, or many, many, many other names. As, my God, Seymour, I swear if it was possible to block someone on YouTube, I absolutely would block him. Now back to the wave. As The teacher would then pick up the papers and would say, alright, no using quirks in classroom, and in the school you know the rules. As he'd then say, looks like we have 2 people wanting to go to UA this year. As everyone would then say, UA, isn't that the school with the super or low entrance, and with the super low entrance rate? And entrance percentage? As the teacher would then say yes. Now, the first one wanting to go into the school wanting to go to UA is Bakugo Katsuki. As everyone would then begin praising Bakugo, as he'd then say, Teach, don't lump me in with these extras. If they're lucky, they'll probably be ended up, if they're lucky enough, they'll probably end up with some busted D-lister. I'm the real deal, you hear me? As Bakugo would have that, Bakugo arrogance to him. As suddenly there would be a wave of bloodlust that would just fill the classroom, as Bakugo would then hop back down on his seat and would then basically go back on to his seat as everyone would begin shaking, shivering, as even the teacher would barely be able to breathe, as the girl in the black hood, and in the black and white hood with the white and red smile mask, would then say, Are you sure about that, Katsuki? As Bakugo would be absolutely terrified by this. As she would then say, That's what I thought. As the teacher would then pick up the papers and would then say, Anywho, the second one who wants to go to UA is Izumi Midoriya. As everyone would begin to everyone would begin to shiver and would basically shut up until one kid with a very weak quirk would then raise his hand, as he'd then say, the Akuma, she wants to go to UA, as the teacher would then say, yep, as everyone would then say, but shouldn't she be like a villain instead? I mean, think about it, she's quirkless, she has horns, red and black eyes, and a whole bunch of mysterious powers that we don't even know all her capabilities of, and she's just has that ominous attitude to her. As Izumi would then pull down her mask, and would then lift up her mask just for a bit, as she would look at the kid, and she would say, What was that? As she would be showing a long row of sharp, pointy, jagged teeth. With her red, glowing eyes. As the student would then say, Nothing, as she would then say, That's what I thought. As after school, Bakugo would basically see Izumi walking down a alleyway instead of going to the roof. As he throughout the entire day and her entire life would say, Go kill yourself, elf, you quirkless demon. As no one. As, well, yeah. It was a bad life. As he would have expected her to want to end it by now. But instead, he would see her walking down the alleyway. As he would follow her and would see her walk to Lyra's house. As Lyra would then say, There you are, my child. Would you like a pie? And would you like a chocolate pie? I'm sorry. There you are, Lyra. Would you like a cinnamon butterscotch pie? Izumi would then say, "Yes, Lyra." As Lyra would basically be Izumi's adopted mother. As Izumi would love Lyra more than anything, as she was the only person who cared for her. Now, I still have no idea who to make the ship, but if you have any ideas, then please in the comments tell me. Okay? As we skip to as Izumi would basically, she would walk to the store to get some extra butterscotch, and to get some extra cinnamon as they were out. As she would walk to the store and would hear explosions, as she would see Bakugo in a, as she would see Bakugo being suffocated by the sludge villain, as she would rush over to as she would then basically walk over to the villain. With her mask and hood on, of course, as the villain would look at her and say, "Huh? What are you gonna do, kid? You can't stop me. I'm a villain. Go cry home to your mom or daddy, and to your mommy or daddy." As Izumi, all she would do is just snap her finger, as the mask would then transform into, a necklace. As it was a gold necklace with a red heart on it, as she would then show off her red demonic eyes and and she would take off her hood, as she would then say, "I'm sorry, villain, but even though that kid you're suffocating is quite a bully, I want to be a hero, and heroes have to save everyone, no matter the grudges or the problems." As she would then say, "But don't worry, I'm not going to kill you." As she would then raise her hand up, as suddenly a black Gaster Blaster would appear, as she would then snap her fingers, as a red and black laser would come out of the Gaster Blaster, as it would as it would basically knock out the sludge villain, as the Gaster Blaster's energy was concentrated on just pure energy and bloodlust, as the sludge villain would have been knocked out into a human form. As she would then say, "Perfect. Now to help. Now to get you to the hospital." As she would then pick up Bakugo, who was now unconscious, as she would then bring him to the hospital. They would tell her that he is perfectly fine, as she would then leave the hospital and would go back to Lyra's. Now, no one would really see her, as she instantly would have teleported away. So she would not have been chewed out by any of the heroes or praised by anyone. She would get home. Lyra would be there, as she would then say, Hey, Lyra, I got the cinnamon." As Lyra would then say, "Ah, good, my child. Now we can have some cinnamon butterscotch pie." As we skip 10 months of training, as Izumi would have been doing a lot of meditating for the 9 months, basically training on her body and her powers. As on the 10th month, however, she would have a dream that was like no other. As she would see a person that looked like, she would see a person who would look like this, as this person would be a sort of neutral side of Demon Tail Kara. Well, she would see three people. One who looked exactly like her, one who looked like a blend of her with normal emotions, and a neutral version of her, and the other looked like this. Now you guys will choose which route will she go. Well, in the comments, will she go through the path of annihilation, the path of restoration, or the path of neutral? As this is the neutral path, this is the, oh dear lords, no. This is the restoration path, and this is the annihilation path. You will choose which follows. As three people would see her, as she would begin talking to them. As they would then say, when the time comes, you will fuse with one of us. If you fuse with, well, the path of annihilation, the one who looks exactly like you right now, well, your horns will become, instead of just normal gray like they are now, they'll become midnight black, and you'll be glowing with a red aura all the time. And you'll basically become a lot heartless and emotionless. As neutral would then say, but if you choose the neutral path, you'll be able to feel things, but basically you'll have like normal emotions, and your power will have increased a lot, and you'll have a little bit of care for things. As then restoration would then say, if you choose me, your horns would turn completely white, and your horns would turn into a light gray. Your eyes would turn in, and as one of your eyes would turn into a black with blue instead of red. And as you would have a whole bunch of other abilities. Now you three will choose. Now you viewers will choose in the comments which one. As you guys tell me which of the three paths you want, and I will post down 3 of the paths, and the one that gets the most likes will be the path that is chosen, okay? Okay. Yeah. She would wake up for the exam. As she would get there, and as we skip 1 month to the exam, she would get to the exam all prepared, and she would triple S pass the test, pass the written test. Yeah, it was nothing compared to her. As she would wait at the oh, I forgot to mention one tiny thing about the ship. I've decided that you guys will still decide the ship, but, well, you will, how can I explain this? The ship has to be a girl, as I'm a lesbian shipper, and I do not care. The ship must be a girl, and the one with the most likes is the ship, okay? Same with the, paths, okay? One with the most likes is the ship. Understood? Good. As Kara would, and as Azumi would then walk, and would basically be waiting at the, starting line, as the teacher would then say, and as Mike would then say 3, and as before he could even say 3, she would basically instant transmission all the way outside, and she basically instant transmission into the battlefield, into the fake city as she begins smashing apart robots one by one. Dead, 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 dead. And within 10 seconds, she would have 600 points. As she would be summoning giant blades, she would be summoning laser beams, meteors, or that would basically burst into Amaterasu flames, as the meteors are kind of like Azrael's one attack, where he has a giant star fall down, it bursts into a whole bunch of other stars. Get the idea there? As she would also create a giant sort of, and as, well, no, not yet, as Nezu would then say, that girl is doing extremely well. She appears to be very strong, but let's see how she does against this. As he would then press a button and release the 0 pointer. As she would then say, easy. As she would then raise her hand, as she would then create an orb out of black and red energy. As the orb would then turn into the form of a dragon skull, of a very detailed and terrifying dragon skull, as it would then blast just pure black energy, and a pure black laser followed by pure black lightning / energy waves, as the 0 pointer would have been instantly destroyed, as she would then walk away. And that's where I'm ending this part off. Hope y'all enjoyed part 1 of What If Deku was the reincarnation of Demon Tail Kara. Now, please tell me in the comments the lesbian ship and which path she should take. Depending on what you say, the entire course of this What If could change drastically. So please, be careful, and goodbye and skadoosh.